$1 trillion. In June of 2026, Elon Musk actually became the first human being in history to cross that staggering $1 trillion net worth mark. To really put that into perspective for a second, if you went out and spent $1 million every single day, it would take you 2,700 years to empty that account. Wild, right? Now, it's super easy for outside observers to just brush off a peak like this and say, oh, it's sheer luck, perfect timing, or pure privilege. But as someone who evaluates businesses and founders for a living, I can promise you something. $1 trillion doesn't just happen by accident. It is entirely engineered.
Because the reality is, this massive empire didn't start with some huge trust fund, and it definitely didn't start with a golden Rolodex of connections. It actually started with a 12-year-old boy in Pretoria, South Africa, just sitting alone in his bedroom. He taught himself how to code simply because he was bored, and he built a space-themed video game named Blaster. He ended up selling that. That was his very first exit. Not $1 trillion mega corporation, just $500 and this deep, relentless curiosity that he just couldn't turn off. Now, what's so fascinating to me about this is the core principle it reveals right out of the gate. At 12 years old, he had no mentor, absolutely zero industry connections, and obviously no formal qualifications. As an executive evaluating young talent today, this is exactly the trait I'm looking for. He didn't wait around for the perfect business plan. He didn't wait to feel ready. You have to realize the world does not pay you for being ready. The world pays you for showing up and actually delivering something. He just started building. Section 1. Spotting inevitable shifts. One of the absolute biggest misconceptions out there about highly successful founders is that they have some sort of crystal ball. They really don't magically predict the future. Instead, they are absolute masters at identifying inevitable macro shifts in the market way before the rest of the crowd catches on. Take a look at this timeline. In 1995, Musk gets into Stanford for a PhD in physics. But, and this is crazy, he quits after just 2 days. Why? Because he looked at the early internet and saw that it was going to be inevitable infrastructure. He and his brother literally slept in their tiny office and showered at the local YMCA to build Zip2, which they then sold to Compaq for $307 million. His personal share was $22 million. Most people would have just retired to a beach somewhere, right? Not him. He immediately rolled those funds into an online bank called X.com, which eventually became PayPal. That sold to eBay in 2002 for $1.5 billion, netting him $165 million. So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is how he deployed that newly acquired capital. He took that massive PayPal exit and he flew to Moscow to literally try and buy an intercontinental ballistic missile so he could send a greenhouse to Mars. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. The Russians basically laughed him out of the room. They thought he was just some naive tourist playing billionaire. But on the flight home, instead of retreating in defeat, he just opened up a spreadsheet. He looked at the inevitable cost curves of commercial space travel, realized he could build a rocket himself for significantly cheaper, and founded SpaceX. He was ruthlessly reinvesting his capital to build a launching pad rather than a comfortable nest egg. Section 2. The resilience stress test. But here's the thing. Capital allocation is only half the equation when you're evaluating a founder. The other half is raw mental endurance. I always look back at the year 2008. It was undoubtedly the darkest year of his life, and it serves as the ultimate stress test of a founder's mental runway. The metrics he was facing simultaneously that year were frankly catastrophic. Over at SpaceX, they had launched 3 rockets, and all 3 had exploded. 3 entire years of intense work just completely gone. Meanwhile, over at Tesla, the company was burning through $4 million in cash every single month, and they only had $9 million left in the bank. Do the math. That is just a 2-month runway until permanent bankruptcy. Musk had personally dumped his entire fortune into these companies, to the point where he was actively borrowing money from friends just to pay his own rent. On August 3, 2008, that third SpaceX rocket exploded. He literally watched his life's work turn into smoke. But you know what? There was no panic. He walked out, turned to his completely devastated engineers, and simply said with absolute resolve, "We are going to try again." They had exactly enough parts left for one final attempt. When I mentor aspiring entrepreneurs, I point to this exact moment. You have to frame extreme setbacks not as failures, but as necessary bridges to your long-term success. That unbelievable mental endurance paid off. That singular decision to just take one more step was everything. On September 28, 2008, that fourth and final rocket successfully reached orbit, which eventually secured a massive $1.6 billion lifeline contract with NASA. And over at Tesla, on Christmas Eve, we are talking hours before the company would have permanently folded, they managed to close a $40 million funding round.
He literally saved 2 industry-defining companies in the span of just a few months by simply refusing to quit.
Section 3. The Empire Portfolio. Now, having survived that ultimate stress test, the sheer scale of his ambition only expanded. Let's look at how he operates his portfolio in 2026, managing multiple world-changing bets at an extreme velocity. We're looking at a $1.2 trillion empire executing simultaneously across all these innumerable industries. You got SpaceX controlling the vast majority of commercial rocket launches, with Starlink generating $4.4 billion in operating income all on its own. You have Tesla leading the charge in electric transportation, X being completely rebuilt from the ground up as an everything app, Neuralink pioneering brain-computer interfaces, The Boring Company digging massive infrastructure tunnels, and xAI, which just executed a massive merger with SpaceX earlier in the year. When you analyze a massive portfolio like that, you have to remember this fundamental truth. The timeline for building an empire is never comfortable. Look, most people want to wait until their first venture is perfectly optimized, fully staffed, and totally stable before they even consider taking on a second project. But true, high-impact founders, they accept the brutal discomfort of simultaneous execution. 6 companies, 6 entirely different industries, 6 massive bets on the future, all running at the exact same time.
Section 4. The Founder Playbook.
So, what does this all mean for you? As your mentor today, I want to distill all these insights into a direct, actionable blueprint that you can apply to your own high-risk ventures right now. Here are the 5 rules. Rule 1. Start with your current skills. Musk started with basic code. Don't wait around for some magical, better idea. Just start with what you know today. Rule 2. Every exit funds the next entry. You have to relentlessly reinvest every dollar you make into building something even bigger. Rule 3. Position yourself inside inevitable shifts. Find the futures that are already being written by physics and economics and just get there early. Rule 4. Proximity to failure isn't a weakness. It is the price of transformation. You have to embrace that fear because it's a signal you're actually attempting something ambitious enough. And finally, Rule 5. When the odds are at their absolute worst, always take one more step. Listen, if you're sitting there right now thinking it's too late for you or that you've somehow missed your window of opportunity, I want you to remember these facts. At 37 years old, the man who eventually became the world's first trillionaire was completely broke, actively borrowing rent money and watching his life's work collapse around him. What that means for you is that wherever you are right now, no matter your age, your background, or what your bank balance looks like, you are not behind schedule. The beginning of anything truly great is always going to be uncomfortable and uncertain, but the decision to keep building, that is entirely yours. You are exactly where the real story begins.
So I want to leave you with this final evaluation as a venture capitalist looking really closely at your potential. Think about all those projects you've been delaying out of fear, or maybe just a desire for perfection. What is your last rocket? What is the single next move you have been putting off? And what exactly are you going to build today?